you need to understand that just like learning to play the piano or the guitar or learning a new language or whatever the skill set must be, the more you do it, the more efficient the nerves become. That means that one nerve and another nerve gets a connection. It's called a synapse. What was the difference between Einstein's brain and a typical brain? Was it the number of nerve cells or was it the number of synapses? I can tell you that he had 100 times more synapses or connections than a normal brain. Not nerve cells, but these connections. Now, when I do this activity, where it's the piano or whatever it might be, or pain, the more I have it and the more I do it, the more efficient the pathway becomes, or the more connections from one side in relationship to the other. So how do I break that pain pathway? I do that by using microcurrent, cold laser, and exercises that fire the nerve appropriately. When we do that, it actually releases a little neuropeptide that actually breaks the bond from one nerve cell to the other. And over time, guess what? The pain goes away. But this is something that needs to be done on a daily basis. This is why we give you tools so you can treat yourself at home. So instead of having to go into a physical therapy or chiropractor or massage therapist for 3 or 4 times a week for 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks, we can have you come into our office for 1 time a week, and you're going to do your exercises at home. Those are going to be using microcurrents. We're going to use exercises to break these pain pathways. So I need you to understand that the longer you have pain, the more efficient, unfortunately, that nerve pathway becomes. And the only way to break it is you have to fire the nerve appropriately. We have nerves, and in the nerves are basically 3 types of fibers. We have a large fiber, which is an A fiber, which controls muscle spindles, vibration, joint mechanoreceptors, and a B, which is a medium fiber. And then we have the little C's. The little C's are the pain fibers. They're what we call demyelinated. That means that they really don't travel very fast. They're very slow. So let me give you an analogy. Pain travels a football field in about 20 seconds. That pain fiber, if it was a C fiber, if I put it on 0 and I went 100 yards, travels that 100 yards in 20 seconds. How fast do the large fibers travel a football field? That 100 yards in 1 second. So even innately as a kid, let's say I fell down and I sprained my wrist or and I hurt it or I scratched it. What am I going to do? What's the first thing we do even innately? We usually rub it or shake it to fire the large fibers to inhibit those slow feed fibers. And that signal goes to the brainstem. Remember, 80% of the pain fibers stop at the brainstem, and that will even decrease it going to brain itself. So remember, if we start to have trauma, such as I get in an accident, I fell, I have a sporting injury, I'm clenching and grinding my teeth where I'm getting these muscle spasms and these windups here, or I had a shift in my physiology through orthodontics, what happens? Does that muscle, is that scar tissue, does that tight band, does it travel as fast to brain as it did before? No, remember, brain only knows a frequency of firing. So if it's now coming in slower, it thinks it's pain, not muscle movement, because the brain only knows the frequency of firing. In the hearing center called the temporal lobe, we don't have a piano area, a guitar area, a violin area. It's a learned response from the frequency in which it comes in. The brain only understands a frequency in firing. So remember, it's called the gate theory of pain. The better our muscles and our joints and everything move, the more that we inhibit pain. Many times when you're not feeling too good, you get out and do some exercise, fire some endorphins, they go into the spinal cord. That's also inhibitory towards pain. So that's the idea. We have to get motion. We have to get balance. When we do that, we start to empty the bucket. And guess what? We can go back to doing a lot of the things that we want to do.